Don't worry about us talking because I'm gonna just edit all this out. Um,
Okay.
so what's going on, y'all? I want to welcome y'all to the first episode, numero uno of the Melanated Travelers Podcast. Now, I gotta be honest before I get started, y'all. Me and Jamilah, we already talked earlier this week. We had an amazing interview and amazing conversation. But as a rookie mistake, I forgot to hit record. So they say three works a charm. I don't believe in that. Second is best. So we're gonna roll with it today. But I have to introduce y'all to my guests. First and foremost, I'm super, super excited to have her on the podcast. That's the first episode to set the tone for the entire podcast. I have Jamilah here. Jamilah, she's out of what they call Baltimore. Baltimore. She's a licensed esthetician and who loves to travel. And she's been to 8 countries, correct? 8 countries so far? Yeah, she's been to 8 countries, y'all. So, um, Jamilah, first and foremost, again, I just want to thank you for coming on. And anything else you want to tell the people about yourself?
Well, I'm from Savannah, Georgia. Been living in Baltimore for the past 10 years. I moved to Atlanta, so if y'all need services in Atlanta, let me know. I'm an esthetician. I specialize in corrective skincare, and I love to travel.
Awesome, awesome. So I guess we could kick it off like this. Um, everybody has a reason for doing something, and can you go deeper into, for one, your profession, like why you decided to go, into that field, and why you travel?
Okay, so I got it. I got into aesthetics, which is basically the beauty industry in regards to skincare, because I had gotten into makeup. I got into makeup because I was in the Miss Maryland USA pageant and I didn't want to have to pay for their services. So I needed to figure out how to do makeup for myself. And that's how I got into makeup. And then I was trying to expand my business and I found out what estheticians were and I got interested in that. And then once I got into aesthetics, I learned that people of color really had a lot of issues and not a lot of resources to help them with those issues, such as dark marks, acne. A lot of products were not made for us, so my niche became corrective skincare, and mostly for people of color. That's my specialty. As far as travel, I got into travel because my lifestyle changed when I became an esthetician, and I decided to become an entrepreneur 100%. I was able to have more control over my schedule. So when COVID came, I was able to find some cheap flights. That's kind of when things started for me as far as traveling. And then I just had a lot of opportunities to travel after that. And I really enjoy seeing the different cultures, seeing the way different people live around the world, the different currencies, the different types of food, just having a different perspective. So that's how I got into travel, and that's how I got into aesthetics.
We one thing, and I think the listeners want to know as well. We're not gonna pass up the fact that you auditioned and you was a part of becoming Miss Maryland. How was that whole process? And because I know when it comes to like pageants and different contests like that, you don't see many of us on the stage. So how give us a little bit about that experience.
Well, I think actually within the past few years, they've had a black woman for Miss, what is it, Miss USA, Miss
Hmm.
World, and yeah, so that's I'm grateful to see that. But yeah, previously it really wasn't at all. And that experience was very interesting. I did that in 2014. Um, and the pageant world is expensive. First and foremost, okay, I didn't realize it was that expensive. I
Hmm.
had to raise $995. That's why I ended up learning how to do makeup because they want you to use their.
Hmm.
Okay, my phone was ringing. I'm sorry. They want you to use their makeup artist. That was more money, so it's very expensive. But then when it came down to them choosing who they were going to pick for Miss Maryland USA, it did seem very. How can I put this? It seemed very biased because the person they picked. So how can I say this without sounding like
No,
crazy.
you good. You good.
Um,
This open. This open here. Go for it.
I'm trying to be, politically correct here. But there's no way to really do that. So they had two contestants that were left over in which they had to pick. One was a Asian young lady, and the other one was a Caucasian young lady. And when we see pageants, we often see, the blonde hair, blue eye women, have
Mhm.
taken over this industry. Okay. That's what we typically see. And I feel as though when it came down to the last two people and they were asking the questions that they were asking, I honestly, in my heart, felt that the Asian young lady should have won. But the blonde hair woman with blue eyes won. And her answer was, it didn't even honestly really make sense to me. So I just kind of felt like it was just another one of those situations where, the beauty standard is what it is in the media, and it was just another person, being picked that looks, like that so-called standard. So that was an interesting experience, and I'm not really interested in pageants after that, but I love that I had that experience, honestly.
And that leads me to a good point. Since you've been to so many countries, were there any instances where you've encountered stereotypes or maybe misconceptions about your identity while abroad, and how did you handle them if you ever experienced any of that overseas?
Like, did other people have misconceptions about me
Yeah,
overseas?
yeah. Because of our culture, really our swag. I feel like everybody has stolen our swag. We're not gonna go there. Yeah, we gonna go there. Cornrows and cornrows and these Caucasian women here in the States, all of a sudden it's a new hairstyle, but we've been having cornrows since the motherland. They had women that would design maps inside of women's head to free themselves from oppression. So come on now. Like
Yeah, a lot of
let's
people. Yeah, people don't even know that.
all right.
Um, man, I've honestly, I would say the majority of the places that I've been was in the Caribbean, and then there's the times that I've been to Asia and I've been to the UAE, which I've been to Dubai in the UAE. Um, I can say I haven't felt like how I feel in America, as a black woman, as a person of color. I've felt more safe. I've felt not as judged. Just because of I think it has a lot to do with the places that I've been. And I know a lot of people I've been to Thailand. I know a lot of people have been to Asia, and they say that people like to stop and stare and take pictures. I didn't actually have that experience. As we know, everybody's travel experience is different, and I plan on going back as well. But who knows? It might be like that when I go back. But I honestly haven't really had many experiences like that. And I haven't been to Europe. I know a lot of people have that experience in Europe too. I haven't been there, so yeah.
Mm. I think me either. Like the first country that I ever traveled to was El Salvador, and like I automatically assume like, okay, I'm black, I'm gonna stick out like a sore thumb. These people are gonna treat me differently, but I never felt so much
Yeah.
love, like so much love. So can we shift gears into the first country that you ever traveled to internationally?
The first country that I traveled to internationally was Jamaica. It was Jamaica. That was my first country. I think
Shout out
what
to
was my second?
shout out. What's the
Mexico. I think
what's the movie everybody joke about? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. You
oh,
probably know what
Stella
I'm
got a
talking.
group.
Yeah, shout out to how Stella got her groove back. Shout out, you know, it's a lot of you see a lot of girl trips there. No, nobody hating, man. I think Jamaica for me is definitely a place I want to go whenever I'm me personally, whenever I'm in like a relationship or something. I think for me, um, so let's get into Jamaica. Let's get into it. So you see the videos, you see the videos on Instagram and TikTok, and did you do the raft?
Yeah. I just saw that crazy video. I didn't see the video. I just saw the people talking about it. But yeah, I did the raft. Me and my cousin did the raft probably like 2 years ago. Um and so I thought that they automatically just like rub you down with the mineral, which is the mineral that's like the clay that's on the side or whatever that they grab and they rub all over you. Mind you, they literally go and grab this stuff and they come and rub and ask you. This is the thing. They ask you,
Mhm.
do you want to be rubbed as well? Because that's kind of like their add-on. Like they add that on as a way to hustle and get some extra money.
Mhm.
Um, and me and my cousin was like, no, we good, like because we were able to go grab that stuff ourselves and put it on ourselves. So we were like, no, we're okay. But I see I see what's going on out here. They
Mhm.
rubbing folks down.
Mhm.
It's getting out of control. But I just had someone on my social media asking me about. I did some female traveler tips, and she was saying that she hoped that one of my tips would be helpful in Jamaica because it can be very flirty. And I was talking about wearing a ring if you're like by yourself. And my tip back to her was you got to stand firm when you're in Jamaica, and the men can be very flirty, or any Caribbean place because they can be very flirty. Just got to stand firm. Just got to stand firm with them.
Mhm. Yeah, that's one thing. That's one thing I noticed. But I think for me, and I'm not speaking for all men. I'm just speaking for me. I definitely want to be with somebody eventually that has like an open mind. Like for instance, like I haven't been to Jamaica, but something that's similar is when you go to Cartagena, Colombia, they have a volcano. It's non-active. It's called Volcan Totumo, and they do the same thing. When you get inside, they rub you, the men and the women. You know what I'm saying? So it's nothing.
Yeah,
Well, it's not as intimate. Let me say that. Pause. It's not as
it's
intimate
not
as
as
it was in that Jamaican video that's going viral right now. But it still was good. You know what I'm saying? Just the shoulders. I was like, hey, bro, just the shoulders. I'm good. But that's how they
yeah.
hustle. That's how they hustle.
It doesn't put a damper on the other mud experiences because in El Salvador, they have something very similar at the Santa Teresa, which is the hot spring spa, and they have the buckets of mud there. And I've seen some TikTok videos. I thought that they would rub you down. Sometimes they can rub you down. There's some young ladies there that rub you down, or you just grab it yourself and you put it on. But hopefully that video doesn't deter people from the experience because it doesn't have to be like that.
Hmm. Definitely. Yeah. Speaking of El Salvador, like what if you had to rank, like when you look at all these countries, would you consider that one of the most riskiest country you ever, based on what we see on the news and based on and we're gonna get into how people can know if a country is dangerous or not based on the rating, but based on the 8 countries that you've been to, that's the one that you was kind of like, okay, this one here is kind of like yeah, I don't know, I'm going, but I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. El Salvador was probably the most risky, the most in the media. It's known to be one of the most dangerous countries that has a lot of gang activity. So even telling my parents that I was going, they were like, "What?" Because their generation is they watch the news a lot. That's and then the news can be very scary. It just
Hmm.
scares you all the time.
Hmm.
So yeah, El Salvador for sure.
Give me like so you really didn't feel that type of like, but give me the feeling of like when you seen somebody that looks like you, and I'm not talking about the hues that's over there in that culture, but another American, maybe another black European, when you're overseas, and it's just like, hey, what up? Because you really don't see too many of us on the plane. Y'all, we just gonna say that straight up. And this is the reason why we're advocating for travel, especially for black travel. Because there's not too many of us on there. But give me your reaction of when you do see us, the one or two that may be on the plane, or you may meet somebody on the excursion. How does that make you feel as a traveler?
It makes me feel good. I feel happy to see our people traveling, especially places that are not the typical place that, you know, everybody tends to go to. Well, I would say our people tend to go to. I feel a sense of joy, and it's like a unspoken, like, just joy between both parties. Like I actually, in this solo travel video that I just posted, where I did like 4 tips for female solo travelers, new female solo travelers. I took a clip of when I was in Playa del Carmen in Mexico, and I was walking just randomly on this strip, and it was a touristy area, but the restaurants were open so you could see inside at the tables and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, that see somebody waving at me, and I don't know that person. That was another black person that saw me walking and was like, and I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that feeling. Yeah, that's how I was in
yeah,
Cusco. That's how I was in Cusco. I already know this. The way you move, I already know your feet is gonna touch Peruvian soil. I already know you're gonna get to Peru
I
eventually.
really true. That's
Yeah,
like top on my list.
yeah. So I just recently came from Peru, uh, in July. In July, so 2 months, 2 months, no, last month. So one thing, I was in Cusco, and I was walking up the hill heading back to my Airbnb, and it was this Uber that just had stopped at a I guess another Airbnb unit, and it was three black people that got out, and I'm just like,
3.
I'm just like, my
What's up,
nigga.
y'all?
It was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was like, oh my God, like, where you from? I'm like, man, I'm from, really, really, I'm from Gramercy, but overseas, I'll say New Orleans, because that's just, it's a prominent city or whatever. I'll say, yeah, I'm from New
Yeah.
Orleans. Like, oh, all right, I'm from New York. All right, I'm from Philly. I was like, all right, cool, man. It's nice to meet y'all. We exchange numbers. It's just always good to see. And another encounter that I want to bring up is when I was in El Salvador. Shout out to Kayla, and shout out to y'all, man. She just recently got engaged to a boyfriend that I met in El Salvador. They got engaged a few weeks ago, so I wanted to take this time out just to give them a shout out. Shout out to Black Love. We're gonna get a little hand clap for Black Love. But it's just amazing to see. It's just amazing to see. It's just a feeling like no other. Now, as opposed to, like, which led to what you were saying, like Mexico, Jamaica, like places that are more traveled by us in America. Like, you don't necessarily get the same feeling, right? Do you agree?
Yeah, well, that situation that where the lady was waving at me, I was like, "Oh, hey, that was actually in Mexico." But
Wow.
that was
Okay.
in yeah, yeah, that was in Mexico, but that was in a part of Mexico that, as I'm talking to a lot of people of color, like, they don't even know where that is, Playa del Carmen. So, and then when I was there, I didn't really see a lot of black people there, to be honest. So it's still, I think that's probably why I had that feeling. But if I was in Cancun or maybe Jamaica, it definitely wouldn't have been the same vibe, for
hmm
sure.
So let's get this out the way. Let's get this out the way. What's like, everybody has like uh their way of travel hacking, and they're some people savages. They have no loyalty to certain airlines or anything. Like, kind of get us into the mind of Jamilah. Like, how do you go about finding the deals? How do you like to travel? Do you prefer hostels, mid-level, luxury type brands whenever you're going overseas, or domestically? How do you navigate finding the deals, and finding the best accommodations that fit your personality?
Mm. So I guess because of how I started traveling, which was very spontaneous, and it was during COVID, and it was just me just booking something and then booking the room after. It's just, it my travels began very, very disorganized.
hmm
So it's continued that way, and I actually like it.
hmm
So I consider myself to be more of a traveler versus a vacationer. But I'm not the traveler that has to be like, we doing this at this time, we doing this at that time. I like to book my flight and then figure out my room after. I just randomly will book my stuff and just figure out everything after. Or if I'm traveling with other people, I had when I went to El Salvador, we have a group text, and they literally will put a country in the group text and dates, and everybody is like, can they go or not? And I like that because I just like the spontaneous of it. But I always give this travel hack as far as flights, because flights tend to be a big chunk of traveling. And PayPal has something called PayPal Pay in 4. So a lot of people think it's PayPal credit. That's two different things. I used it with Southwest's app. Once I found out, I just randomly found out that Southwest had this available on their app. And basically, they split the payment in 4 payments, and it comes off your card automatically every 2 weeks until it's over. The trip does, you could be on the trip and it's not finished paying, it's still going to automatically stay on the same track and come every 2 weeks off your card. So that was instrumental in the random bookings for me. And then I started looking for those pay later type of um applications.
Mm-hmm.
So with Airbnb, I like to book Airbnb because they have that as well. You can pay a deposit and pay the rest later. With Expedia, they have the same thing. Some of the hotels on there, some of the resorts, you can book it now and pay later. So that's what got me started with that, and that's how I've continued looking to help me budget instead of I got to pay a big chunk here. And also being flexible. I'm very flexible about where I want to stay because I'm not looking to be on a huge expensive luxury resort. That's not my
Mm-hmm.
flow. That's not my
Mm-hmm.
style. I want it to be nice. Sometimes there's certain things I just want to experience. I don't mind if I'm by myself and I want to book a hostel. It depends on what the hostel is looking like. I may book a hostel. I'm just very flexible. And I think that people can travel more when they have a flexible mindset versus thinking that every time they leave the country, it has to be a big luxury vacation. So that's just like my flow and how I do things.
Definitely, definitely. I would agree. So look, look. I'm gonna just tell y'all this right now. I don't know, and we're gonna talk about this too. Before I ask you what airline you choose, I don't know why. You already know where I'm going with this. That's why you laughing. I don't understand why people try to knock Spirit. I feel like back in the day, like a lot of African Americans, a lot of blacks here in America, we didn't know we was growing up poor. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is that, mom and daddy always made sure that you had what you needed. But some people had to go to school wearing shacks, for instance. And people would
Yeah.
really like rag people about wearing shacks, but yet Shaq is a multimillionaire. Yet Shaq didn't want to get over on the people and charge $100, 200, $400+ for sneakers. That's the way I look at Spirit. So look, listen, y'all may laugh at me, but listen. If I'm going to South America, if I'm going to Colombia, if I'm going to Ecuador, Panama, Costa Rica,
Those are short
Guatemala, right?
flights.
Those are short flights. I am flying Spirit, true and true. I am dedicated to Spirit. I have enough points where I can go on three trips for free right now, round trip. Laugh at me if you want. The thing about Spirit that a lot of people don't understand. Yes, they had issues in the beginning, and we're gonna get more into your business after this. After I say this, the business model of Spirit when they first got started, and it's still the model today. It is not a Delta. It is not a Southwest. It is not United Airlines or American Airlines. You pay for the experience. So, guys, if y'all listening to this, and to my YouTube subscribers, if you're watching this video right now, you get what you pay for. So, if you pay for a $7 seat, you're gonna get a $7 experience. When you could pay $21 and get an extra seat where you got a little bit of leg space, okay, you got to pay for the snacks. I could bring snacks with me in my bag. TSA don't never trip over that. Go to Dollar Tree, go to Walmart or whatever, pack you some stuff in your bag and call it a day.
That
Nothing's wrong.
goes back to being
Yeah. So
be
I'm gonna
flexible.
let you. How do you feel about that stigmatism around Spirit? And have you had any bad experiences with them?
Well, I'm gonna be completely honest. So I used to be one of those people that was like Spirit, and it was like because I had an experience with Spirit,
Mm-hmm.
and it just felt, and I had been on other airlines, and I didn't like the experience. So, long story short, you know, we had to wait at the gate for like a few hours because one of the flight attendants wasn't there. Once we finally got on the plane, the flight attendant gets on the mic and is like, "Oh, y'all, my bad, I overslept." I'm like, "Bro, you could have just not said anything." Like it was just. So, I had a few bad experiences. I went on a trip with somebody to St. Thomas. He went and I met him after. And he was like, "You better fly with Spirit. I be flying with Spirit all the time, and it's this and that." And I was like, "Sir, we not doing Spirit because I don't need no problems with them. I keep hearing about them and this and that." And I was like, "You know what? No, I'm about to book it." So when I booked that flight to St. Thomas with Spirit, I had a completely different experience. The seats were better. They were more comfortable. This was years after I had that experience. This was probably
Come
like
on.
5 years after the seats were better. I got good service. I mean, I had to pay like for my bag, but I had to be flexible and I had to learn I don't need a check bag. I'm going to St. Thomas for like 4 or 5 days. So then I had to really research. I was looking at influencers like how can I get a just have a carry-on bag? Like how can I
Mm-hmm.
do this? Researching that, and it was cheaper to fly that way with having a more flexible mindset. So if you
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm like, I want to travel more. If Spirit is available, they're doing better now. So I can roll with them, but it has to be like a short flight. I wouldn't do like anything over maybe 4 hours with Spirit.
Frontier, which is another budget airline. Frontier just left United Airlines, so what they tell you? That Frontier and Spirit is but the partner together. I don't know if you knew that. They but the partner together. So
Okay.
yeah. It's about to be a whole
They might.
different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I felt
Yeah.
it.
If
I
it's a
felt the same
flight,
way. Like Spirit was like the soul plane of I call,
it was.
they call it
It
the
was.
ghetto. You heard me? They call it the ghetto. It is what it is. But look, I'm in the trap. Then I'm in the trap. Cause
I'm in the
cause let me
trap,
tell you
but I'm gonna
something.
get there.
Let me tell you something, Jamila. Right now, I plan to. I'm gonna make a pit stop in Honduras. Sometime next week. I've been looking at some flights, but like I said, I got a lot of friends in Colombia, and I want to explore more of Colombia. Right now, Spirit has. I could get to Cali, Colombia, which is on another part of the coastal region. It's close to Panama, the country of Panama, for $87. Why would I not book that
And
ticket?
you got to pay $30 for your bag. So I would pack light,
There you
and you got
go.
to pay $30 coming back.
There you go. Call it a day. And going going
Or
going into what you said, the bag, your carry on bag is that's free. That's free.
oh, that's free. That's right. Because I think I had a check in. Yeah, I think I had a check bag or something with Spirit going somewhere, and it was like $30 or $60 going and coming.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that was the check. Okay, carry
Yeah,
on. It is. I'm gonna out. We gonna get there.
I
Roll them
fly. I
clothes up,
fly.
Mary.
Man, listen. Y'all need to stop. It's like the analogy that I call, and I'm not trying to get out on anybody, but the reason why, like I said, we having this movement with us in travel is also about black wealth as well. So you got a lot of people that's talking about Spirit, but you driving a Cadillac, you driving a Mercedes, but you living in a house with holes in it. Like that don't make any sense to me. That
Talk
makes
about it.
absolutely no sense. So y'all, and like I said, it's not a knock, but you know, travel within your means. And a lot of these travel content creators that you see flying first class, I guarantee you, without a shadow of a doubt, they have certain credit cards like the AA Advantage credit card with American Airlines. They make the call at the last minute and they ask them if they have any more availability, and they use their points, right? Because they dedicated to that airline to get a better business first class seat, to get upgraded to first class. So like with that being said,
Yeah.
I think for me, my main two, I don't fly Southwest much just because of the destinations that I like to go. But I would say for me, it would be the most points I have accumulated is between Spirit and American. What about you?
Mine would be Southwest because of that PayPal Pay in 4 option.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was I flew so much with Southwest that I ended up being A-list, which is just you just get you get to be first in the lineup to go on the plane first. Um, and I had a good amount of points. Who would be the next one? Maybe Delta now because of yeah, probably Delta. And I Delta is expensive, okay?
Hmm.
It was only because Delta only went to the place that I was trying to go to, like St. Martin. Delta, I think Delta and American Airlines was the only ones that went there. So, and I haven't had good experiences with American Airlines too much, so I try to avoid them.
Yeah, that's true. I've had a few issues with him as well. Um, like I think so. Like, what's essential for you at the airport? Do you have TSA pre-check, or you going through that long line?
I have Clear.
All right, you got clear, so you rolling, you rolling.
TCA pre-check because it's actually offered in more airports than Clear is.
Yeah, I used to just a little hack that I want everybody to know. So if you working in the industrial industry or on the river and you have a TWIC card, that's within the same umbrella as TSA. So the last digits, that last number on the back of your card, if you put that number in, that's your known travel ID number that you can use whenever you're booking flights, and that's how you can get TSA pre-check. Boom! Don't tell me I didn't tell y'all nothing. So I'll say that again. If you have a TWIC card, you can get TSA pre-check. That last number on that last number, if you flip that card over, that last, I think it's seven to nine digit number. You put that into your known traveler's ID, and boom, you qualify for TSA pre-check because it's in the same category as the TSA. It's like involved, like, so the interview process and everything that you got to go through to get a TWIC card, it's the same process that TSA agents go through. So just a bar for y'all, just a bar.
Oh, so, like, would they have to fill out the application for TSA pre-check, and that's where they put that in the traveler ID section?
Like you could do it on your phone, or like when you go online and you book a ticket and it says a known traveler number or ID, whatever it says,
Uh-huh.
known traveler number. The known traveler number for a TWIC card holder is on the back of their card. Once you put that number in, boom, you get TSA pre-check.
When they book, okay,
Yep, when they
okay.
book their
Mm,
ticket. Yep, yep,
the heck?
yeah. That's a bar. That's a bar. So let's get into you've been to eight. So oh God, oh God, give us a little bit about Thailand. Like that, it just seemed like the closest thing I have to Thailand right now. I've never been there. I'm a big James Bond fan. They got James Bond Island over there in Phuket, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Like so, like dive into that, and let's talk about that flight. Let's talk about that.
So I was actually meeting someone there that is an expat, and he lives on Koh Phangan. Koh Phangan is about 12 hours away from Bangkok,
Mm.
but we met in Phuket first. Spent a few days there, and then we traveled to Koh Phangan from there. And if we want to talk about the flight, let's talk about the flight because a lot of people don't know internationally that your flights are a lot more comfortable and that you get food. You get food after I believe 6 hour plus flights. They offer you food like breakfast and dinner and things of that nature. So that flight I flew from Dulles Airport, which was in DC. Um, and I flew from there to Abu Dhabi. That was about 13 hours. Then from Abu Dhabi to Phuket, that might have been like another maybe 10 hours or so. When it was split up like that, it was okay. I've been to Dubai and I went from New York to Paris to Dubai. I don't like that. So that was okay for me, but the planes are bigger. You have a lot more space. People don't realize that, and they're coming around with food and they're coming around with drinks. I'm always, you want some wine? Yes, I want more wine. Thank you. So that makes it a little bit better for me. I've gotten used to it now. But Thailand was absolutely beautiful. I want to go back to experience the other parts. I didn't get to experience a lot of the things that I wanted to experience, but if we're talking about Kopangan, where I spent a lot of my time, it was very beautiful there. The currency there is amazing. Like, I know the flight can be a little pricey, but once you actually get in Thailand, it is extremely cheap. I had some pad thai and like 3 glasses of wine for $20. Everything is cheap. It's just it's crazy. But it's absolutely beautiful. The beaches are beautiful. The people are so sweet, so nice. And that was another place that I felt very safe as well.
Wow, that's awesome. Cause like you already alluded to it, but I just thought that would be a place like, oh my God, a black person, let me take a picture with you. Like, oh my God, I love your hair. Like none of that.
I see that all. I was waiting for it. I was expecting. I'm like, I have locks. I know people gonna want to take pictures with me. Like, I definitely had women who would come up to me and be like, "Oh, you're so beautiful. You're beautiful. You look so nice." But it wasn't any like staring and wanting to take pictures. But then Copenhagen has a lot of Russians as well, and a lot of other expats from Europe. So
Mm.
I didn't even know that. So it was a lot of them there as well. So they weren't staring either, which I was surprised about too. They weren't staring. I just felt at home. It was just so peaceful. It was in the energy there is another thing. It is extremely peaceful.
Wow. What's did you try any like local beverages? And let's get to it. Adult beverages that you want to recommend for people. It's some kind of is it sake, soke? What is it called?
Well, I've had sake, which is a Japanese
Okay, that's Japanese.
wine.
Okay, my bad.
I I've had that before. But but in Thailand, you get the mix of all the different Asian cultures. So they have like Japanese
Mm,
stuff, and then I actually had a Korean drink. It was like a Korean wine. That was my first time ever having that. That was crazy. That was so strong. I was not expecting that. Um, but like a Thailand dish, like a beverage, I can't think of a beverage besides the fruit shakes. Like, they have people selling fruit shakes on the side of the road where they have all the exotic fruits like dragon fruit, uh, all different types of fruits, mangosteen, and they like blend it up right then and there. They can put protein in it for you. They can put ginger in there for you. They can put damn near anything in it and give it to you right then and there. It's just very healthy. It was really good. All their food
that's
and drinks were really.
that's what people say. It's just like once you get to Thailand, the most expensive thing you're gonna spend is your ticket. But once you get there, it's like you
You like
balling.
it's how what you sure? Oh, okay.
That's what they say.
It's
I don't know. I never been. I never been. So that's why I'm asking you for your perspective. They say that the most expensive thing is the ticket, and as far as like once you're there, the U.S. dollar compared to and what's the currency called then? Is it baht in Thailand?
it's
Oh yeah, baht.
BT. It's
The-
per bot.
yeah.
So
The,
yeah, you
hmm
convert your like when you get there. I converted my money at a local spot. I didn't do it at the airport. But you want to convert your money over. They prefer that. They don't want American dollars because I think it costs them to have to convert it back to baht. So just get your bot, and I swear I had like $60 um that I converted over to buy, and how much did that give me? Did it give me like 4,000 or 2,000 baht or something? But anyway, I still had money left over. Granted, I had somebody else paying for stuff for me, but when I was on my own, when I was in Thailand, because I was with somebody for a short period of time, and then I was on my own. When I had my money, that $60 on my own, I had money left over when I came back home.
mm.
So
I got some
yeah.
money. Got some money too in my. I still got. I didn't get a chance to keep when I went to Costa Rica, but let me show you what a Peruvian. a Peruvian dollar looks like. Check, man. Ain't this dope? Look, Machu Picchu in the bag. Look at that. I had to keep this. I had to bring this home.
Oh,
Like, yo, check this out.
man.
Like, it's dope. It's dope. So that currency is soulless. And you know I got some Colombian pesos in my wallet. Shout out to Colombia. I already
Yeah.
told you already from a past conversation. I'm adopted child of Colombia. I'm always gonna promote Colombia. Viva Colombia. Shout out to Colombia. Yeah. So that leads me to my next
Yeah.
point. You brought up about like how you linked up with somebody down there, expat. Um, do you consider yourself more so do you prefer to be a solo traveler? What's your feeling between like solo traveling versus group trips? And even though it's different, but I just want to get your perspective on it. Do you prefer to travel more so alone, more so be alone and just go with the vibe and meet people down there, or a group? Because not everybody can go on trips together. Let's just keep it real.
Yeah. And so my preference would be like this: it would be solo first, it would be with one other person next, and then it would be group trips last for me. That's how I would rank it. Um, and now that people see me traveling, everybody's like, I want to come with you. And I actually took on, I would say, one person that I did that with, and I was like, this taught me that everybody is not going to be on the same page with you, with the things you want to do, how you want to rock and roll. And I'm very, very independent. I like to do what I want to do. So I have like travel partners that are like, I know we rock, we going to be on the same page. And then it's like I'd rather do stuff by myself. But when I was in El Salvador, I did a group trip and that was amazing. So I think it's possible, but I prefer to be by myself or with one other person.
Hmm. I think with me, the reason why I travel solo so much is that I don't necessarily feel alone. Like when I get there, I'm like the most introverted, extroverted person you'll ever meet in your life. I'm really an introvert. So like talking to you now is like opposite of what I do, right? But I feel like what we do in our space with travel, we have to get the stories out there. We have to interact with people. And traveling to these different countries, to be honest with you, coming from a small town in Gramercy, Louisiana, I met some amazing people that have turned into some best friends, like literally best friends that I met in these other countries. Because it's just like um that's why honestly that's when I feel like you meet people that are like not necessarily more genuine, but you look they look at
Or
they're very optimistic and they look at the good and everything, you know and yeah. So like give us
they're
give
living a
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, they're living a different lifestyle. So their mindset is different, So they just may be very different from your American friends, for sure.
So let's shift gears. Let's shift gears for a second and tie it back into our melon, our skin, our skin. So like based on like your perspective on like social justices and um involved here, um how has your perspective changed now that you have a global view on the world and travel to so many different countries? Like what's your view on these issues that we experience? And the second part of that question would be, have you experienced any bigotry, any type of racism in these other countries, or is it more so classism?
Okay, so I would say, being that I'm from the South, I'm from Savannah, Georgia. Um, with my personal experience of, I think like I was mentioning earlier about like walking in a room, like I was talking about the Russians and how I walked in and nobody was like paying me any attention, right? If I was to compare that to my experience being a black woman in the South, going in certain places and just getting this energy of just straight racism from like just a room of Caucasian people, or them just staring or making me feel like, why are you here? I do not, I have not had that experience yet being in the countries that I've been to. And once again, I haven't been to anywhere in Europe. I know a lot of people have had some experiences there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I personally haven't had that experience, but we're not going to take away from the people who have had those experiences. But yeah, like when I was in Thailand, the Russians there were very helpful. They were amazing. I cannot say the same about being in America and being in certain spaces where where there was a feeling of like racism.
Mm.
Um, and what was the second part of your question? The second part was
Like if have you ever experienced any bigotry, racism, or have you seen it? Like maybe you have not experienced it, but have you seen it with
yeah.
with the diaspora that's scattered across these other countries, that people that look like us, we don't speak the same language, but maybe observing their interactions with the more European or Europe, Eurocentric individuals that are in those countries. Have you seen like any kind of experiences where you've seen that they treated them unfairly, or maybe looked at them different or treated them different?
I would say honestly, more so in like the Caribbean, I've seen Europeans be in these spaces and they were traveling and they were vacationing, and I could see how they may treat like the workers
Mm.
on these or how they may treat other vacations, how they may look like, what are you doing here? You know, you can't afford to be here. Why are you here? Like, um, I've seen it in that aspect. But as far as like being in like Thailand, for example, the Thai people weren't like that at all. That was like a big culture shock because you don't know how it's gonna be. You wonder if these people have these prejudices against you. I didn't feel that in Thailand. I didn't feel that in El Salvador. Actually, in El Salvador, I felt like I was an exotic queen because the guys were like, everywhere we went, we were walking, they were like beeping their horns, like mommy, and just
Mamacita,
doing the
mamacita.
yeah, they were crazy. We were like, oh my gosh, and our driver was telling us that we just look exotic, and we are. He said that black women are very outspoken. Our driver was El Salvadorian, but he was bilingual, so he was with us a lot of the
Mm.
time, and he was saying that he was y'all just kind of exotic to us. You speak out a lot. Our women don't necessarily speak out. They're very reserved, and you speak your mind, and your body shapes are different. It's just what it is. Um, but they made me at the same time. They made us feel like home. They were very helpful. In
Hmm.
America, I can't say the same. I can't say the same. It's made me feel more at home in these other places than in America.
Yeah, I just feel so free when I travel, and especially when I travel abroad, and that leads me to just a nugget, just a little history lesson for people that may not know. Like in the early 40s, like 30s, 40s, and 50s, like whenever segregation was at its highest, we had something called the Green Book, and what the Green Book was that it was a way for blacks to navigate throughout the country, to say, hey, go to this barbershop, go to this gas station, this restaurant. And I feel like now in 2023, when I'm interviewing an amazing person like you, and they have so many other amazing travel content creators out there in this world and business owners, like, to me, I feel like we're the new Green Book, because we go into these places, honestly, sometimes uncomfortable places, to get footage, to show people that it's
Yeah,
okay, like, hey, this country is safe, like, hey, this is how you navigate. We create guides, we create reels, and so much other content, and we just got to keep pushing, and we just got to keep going. We just got to keep going. Now I want to share a statistic with you, and I really want I'm gonna share two statistics with you, and I want to know, how does this make you feel? So if you account for the United States, 75% of whites, Caucasians, they travel. They travel. I'm not even talking about abroad. They travel. They actually leave the place, or leave the state that they live in, and travel somewhere else. Blacks only account for 49%. 49%. 49% of African Americans in this country travel outside of their state. Matter of fact, I know some people in my small town that hasn't been further than Mississippi, Gulfport, Mississippi, which is sad. And then the second
yeah.
statistic is the one that's really going to shock you. This is the one I didn't share with you in our last discussion. 17%, only 17% of African Americans travel abroad. 17%.
Out of the United States?
17%.
Well, you know what? After having conversations with just people, just randomly, clients, friends, just people talking about travels, black people, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not. It's so heartbreaking, and that I guess that fuels a lot of my inspiration to create content. Because I I think I have a gift of something that a lot of people may not have, and I want to give a piece of that to them, and that's like I think for myself. I try to go and see what things are before I listen to what somebody else said it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I budget friendly ways to do things, and I don't try to put on a show for anybody because I want to look good or look however. I want to go and have these experiences. I want to be able to broaden my mind, and I think people should take a lot of those characteristics, and I think that will help our people to travel more because they're scared to leave. They think they're gonna die immediately as soon as they get to some of these places. They think they gotta be like, they gotta spend all this money. They think it has to be like, a luxury situation every time they travel somewhere. So yeah, that's inspiring to me to continue
Mm-hmm.
to continue trying to create our people to travel more. I had somebody ask me about somebody DM me about Thailand. She was like, black people don't want to go to Asia because they worried about the food. I was like, oh really? And that's when I took a collage of different foods that I ate when I was in Thailand. And I was like, this is what I ate because that just showed me that was another thing that maybe is a concern of our people. Like they don't know what they're gonna eat. They think they're not gonna like something.
Guys,
So
I
gotta open.
promise you, my people, listen to me. I have never in my life tasted fresher food overseas as I did in America. From the fruit to the vegetables to the restaurants, everything is so fresh. Everything is fresh. Everything. You could go to McDonald's. I was telling you this in the past episode. You could go to McDonald's, y'all, and have a fresher experience at a McDonald's overseas. Like for example, in Colombia, when you order a breakfast, they are actually making the pancakes from scratch. The eggs, they cracking the eggs open on the skillet and frying it in front of you. The meat is fresh. Everything is fresh, y'all. So we need to get that out of our heads. Like we need to get that
And
out of
it
our
probably
heads.
came from a farm.
That leads me to my next question. Like, let's get into because you're an entrepreneur yourself. Let's get into your businesses. So you actually have two. So you have basically in your profession the Glam Empire Studio and also the Herbal Studio, your own skincare line. We not but to skip that. You got your own skincare line. Like yo, she got her own skincare line, yo. That's so dope. So like dive deeper into those businesses and why you want it, um why do you feel like everybody, regardless if they work a 9 to 5 or not, needs to get in a business? Not necessarily entrepreneurship, but just have a hustle, period.
Well, because we live in America, a lot of us live in America, and we live in a very capitalistic country. A lot of black people were behind in building their generational wealth, so that can get us closer to building our generational wealth, and and you'll be closer to also having some freedom, financial freedom, and some freedom to travel and do other things that you would like to do instead of feeling like you're so um such a slave to the hustle and bustle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got a few myself. And I've always had this mindset ever since I was young. Like I've been a hustler. Like I'm
Yeah.
talking about like picking up acorns in the yard, like, and I'll sell them. They'll be like, so how much you'll charge for from picking up the acorns? I say 20. So I'll pick up all the acorns in the yard. I'll go to each house, knock on the door. Then it evolved into selling candy. Like I was the shout out to 50 before candy shop. Before Candy Shop came out, I was the Candy Man. You know what I'm
I
saying?
used
So
to high school. My dad used to buy me the king size Snickers, and I would flip them and and
yeah,
clap.
yeah. I feel like everybody needs to, because let me explain something to you. And it's not a knock it. First of all, this is not a podcast that's gonna knock a 9 to 5. Okay. But at the end of the day, these companies don't give a damn about you. And they will get rid of you at any point in time. Like any point in time. Like I've been in a situation where I worked for a company and they had a guy that caught a heart attack. And the guy was still laying on the ground, and one of the foremen came down and told everybody to keep working. EMT on the way. The guy's dead. We all clearly could see he's dead. You know what they told us? Keep working. Keep working.
Not
So
y'all go
yeah,
home and need some
no,
time to.
nope, keep working. So that taught me a lot. It's like you're replaceable, but you can't be replacing your business, and nobody can fire you in your business. That's why I promote entrepreneurship and some type of ownership. Rather that be real estate, y'all, rather that be owning a business, investing in stocks, man, let's get involved. Let's get active, man. Let's get active. Let's get busy. Because these places, that leads me to my next point. These places that we travel to, you gotta have some type of funds flowing, for you to go to these places, guys. So, let's just not always like even though you might have a job that's making XYZ amount of salary, you think you're in a good position, and then all of a sudden they come to your office and say, hey, we decided to lay you off. Then what you gonna do?
Right.
Let's think.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's get into your skincare line, or we can get into your other business. So you can, we gonna pub it. I'm gonna make sure that I have the links in the show notes, but I just want to give this time now to just talk about your businesses and why you decided to get started and create your own skincare line. Like that's dope.
Well, so a little bit of background about started how I started with makeup, and that picked up really well for me. So I was looking for a way to expand my business, and at the time I didn't even know what an esthetician was. And when I was looking up how to expand like a makeup business, aesthetics came up, and I ended up going to this school and signing up the same day. I really was just going to just toward the school. So I ended up signing up. I graduated in 2018. I got licensed immediately after that. Just to give people a little bit of background about estheticians, we are licensed by each state that we are in. And you will go to an esthetician if you want some type of skincare routine, if you want somebody to work with you closely in figuring out how you can improve your skin conditions. If you go to a dermatologist, you're going to them for them to prescribe you medications. They have a medical perspective. That's just giving people a little bit of background about us, because a lot of people don't understand what estheticians are. Don't they think that we just kind of just, I don't know, rub on people's faces for fun. We are actually licensed by the states that we are in.
Mm,
So when I started that, a lot of Black women and men were coming to me for the same concerns, which were hyperpigmentation, which is dark marks, and on the bikini line, a lot of women had the same issues, ingrowns for men on their beards, women on the bikini line. And people kept coming to me for those concerns. So that ended up being my specialty. And during that time, I was working with a skincare line that was natural based, but it had like a little bit of a clinical perspective. Um, and it worked. It worked, and it was like so fulfilling for me to provide products and services to Black people who have never had good products, didn't understand how to take care of their skin. Just, I was like the first stepping stone for them to be able to get these things rectified. So that inspired me as well. That skincare line that I was using inspired me to use that same model to create my own skincare line, which was more financially feasible for me. So I've had my own skincare line for about 2 years now. I also started hand making soap during COVID because I had just taken a class to learn how to hand make soap. And then I had to close my shop. And then there I was making soap. People were supporting me. And then from there, I started adding on products and expanding the skincare line. So that's my story.
Man, that's dope. That's dope. So y'all, and this, like I said, this is a travel podcast, but it's also about entrepreneurship and businesses, man. Y'all make sure y'all that y'all go support her. And I'm gonna give her a chance to just give out all her information, at the end of the interview, and all her information is gonna be linked on the show notes. Y'all make sure that y'all follow her, y'all support her. You know, it's very important for us to keep that black dollar moving in our community. We are one of the only ethnicities that as soon as we get it, it goes to somebody that doesn't look like us, y'all. We got to keep it circulating. And that's how we're going to be able to grow our businesses. And y'all, that's how we're going to be able to go to some of these amazing destinations that we're talking about, y'all. So I had to say that. I had to say that.
Very
And
true.
I think the last question that I want to ask you is to the i.e. first time traveler, or it may be one of our people that has always been on the fence about traveling internationally. What can you tell them to be able to get them over that hump? Just some words of encouragement to get them over that hump.
Well, I would tell them to keep an open mind. I will also tell them to go on TikTok. I know that sounds crazy. I know a lot of people are not into TikTok. I was one of those people who were not